record and get our message up. Welcome everybody to the Poetry Book Club. It's always such a pleasure to do this every month. We do envision a world where all women are seen and heard. Our community practices deliberative conversations, social credit decision-making, and collective projects for the benefit of all engaged members. We share wisdom through book clubs, kitchen table talks, free and paid courses, and collaborative work. Our simple rules: respect all the spaces, be curious, ask questions, support women's agency, and be open to life's infinite possibilities. Welcome everybody to the Garden of Neuro Book Club. And today we're going to have Nolcha Fox. This is actually the first time I've seen you live in person. I've seen you all over the Facebook world and that, posting poems and the many publications that you get published to. So welcome, Nolcha, and welcome everyone else. Let's do a quick go around the room and introduce yourself and where you're from. I'll start with Tina.
I'm from Tacoma Park, Maryland, which is right on the district line. I've been here since in this area since 1972, and I'm a retired school librarian, and I was an artist before that, and now I'm revitalizing my art life and writing life.
Thank you. Nancy?
Good morning, Nancy Arvizu, Scottsdale, Arizona. I just had skin cancer removed from my face, so I want to tell everybody to go get your skin checked and do it now and do it often. I have been a part of the garden since the beginning, and these book clubs have totally changed my life. Just such a big impact. The poetry, the women, the support, the conversations, everything. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Karen?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Karen Monteith, and I live in Barrie, Ontario in Canada. And I'm happy to be here. I'm pleased to see everybody this morning and looking forward to the poetry this morning.
Thank you, Karen. Annette?
I'm Annette Riddle. I'm from Wyandotte, Michigan. I've been a member of the garden for only a few months, and I just love it here. I just love it here. I'm a quilter. I teach quilting when I can. I'm a poet. I'm a writer. I'm a Catholic. What else? I used to be a newspaper carrier by car. Went through 3.5 cars. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was
amazing.
a hard thing.
An important job, though, to get the news to people.
It was, yeah.
Barbara.
Hi, I'm Barbara Leonhardt. I live in Columbia, Missouri. And I know Nolcha through I published her on Domesticatorias USA, and we became friends fighting gremlins, techno gremlins that were eating our attachments. So I'm a retired ESL teacher. I'm also a poet, writer, neurographic artist, which I haven't done in a little bit. Now I'm an invalid because I just had a left knee replacement.
Well, falling apart.
Yeah. So that was only like 2 weeks ago, and I'm already like running in my walker. So I don't know what's going on, but it must be poetry that does it. So, and I joined recently as well, but I've just been distracted by my surgery. So I haven't really gotten into the neuro network very far.
Thank you, Barbara, and welcome to the garden. I see Stephanie, Stephanie's iPhone. So Stephanie, are you here? Kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. We're introducing ourselves and where we're from. You're up.
I'm Stephanie Fain in New York City and a longtime friend of Nolcha Fox.
Welcome, Stephanie. I'm Lisa Tomey Zonnefeld. I'm the Poet Laureate at the Garden of Neuro, which position will continue until somebody else fills it. We're always looking for someone to replace me, but in the meantime, you're stuck with me. Always want to do a commercial about the talk, Vital Expressions and Conversations by Families of Color. We are going to be having a Juneteenth open mic, and we welcome everyone to attend and talk about these important conversations through poetry. And also, I just want to do another commercial from another Barrie, Ontario person is going to be in our next month's poet for Hoods of Motherhood, Lindsay Soberano Wilson. So that will be our next month. Now, let's get down to business and welcome Nolcha Fox. I'm going to let you tell us about yourself. And I'm going to, I believe I have it all set up so you can share your screen and you should be on.
Okay, I will do that, and excuse me while I have fun with this.
Right.
Let me start. Why is it not starting? There we go. So, okay, so let me move this because of course I'm reading from the screen and I can't see everything because that's how I roll. Okay, so I was born in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. My father was stationed there as a second lieutenant in the Marines. My parents hated it, and my mother still talks about the bugs. So we left as soon as my father's service was up, and I will read you a poem about that. We moved to Columbus, Ohio for about 4 years, and then moved to Los Angeles, California, where I eventually met and married my current husband, who is currently dog watching. We retired with our dogs to Buffalo, Wyoming, and we've been here about 7 years. I've written all my life, starting with poop and crayons on the walls. However, I didn't seriously start writing and publishing poetry until 2021. My poems have been curated in literary magazines such as Lothlorien Poetry Journal, Alien Buddha Zine, Medusa's Kitchen, and most recently, Mudium and Contemplate, and I thank Susan for that. My poetry books are available on Amazon and Dancing Girl Press. My poem, Memory is That Raccoon, was nominated for 2023 Best of the Net. I'm an editor for Open Arts Forum and most recently for Chewers and Masticadoras. I'm an accidental interviewer, reviewer, and faker of fake news. So my first book was My Father's Ghost Hates Cats. I never planned to ever publish a book of poetry, ever. But one of my dear friends out here in Wyoming, who is also an amazing poet, and she encouraged me to write poetry, she shared her journey of self-publishing her first book of poems. And I watched all of it and I thought, wow, that's way too hard. So why not find a publisher? Then I asked her a really dumb question. How many poems do I need for a book? So a week later, with absolutely no idea what I was getting into, I put a manuscript together and emailed it to Alien Buddha Press. So 3 days later, Red, the publisher, contacted me to publish the book. And yeah, I'm still saying OMG. So my first poem is My Father's Ghost Hates Cats. My father's ghost hates cats on kitchen counters. I think because they make him sneeze. My father's ghost hates cabinet doors left open in distraction and things not in their place. My father's ghost hates children. He whispers Velcro them to the ceiling. My mother wonders why I never had my own, but maybe not. My father's ghost loves lists of many colors. I toss them in the trash before I become my father's ghost. This is another from My Father's Ghost Hates Cats. It's called A Fly is Doing the Backstroke in My Coffee. A tiny black speck, a fly floating in coffee and cream universe. Death from drowning, death from bitter, suicide by coffee. I scoop it out with a spoon, too late. And so we live and die, sometimes notice. It didn't drink much, I take a sip. Okay, foreign country. Romantic love is a foreign country. The road signs in a language I don't understand. So I ask a man with coffee-colored eyes for help. I think he steals my heart, but it's really the money pouch pressed against my chest. He feeds me lies, cheap red wine, and box chocolate paid with my stolen money. He swears he loves me like no one else. Let's marry. I'm drunk. I say yes. No hangover, I see. He longed only for entry to a different world. He leaves me for a man oozing money. And I, learning nothing, book another passage to that foreign land. Okay, my second book is called The Big Unda. So I was writing like crazy, really so fast. I know I said here I could barely catch them in a pail and write them down. So I thought, will publicizing and marketing 2 books take any more time than 1 book? I might as well have asked, will 2 dogs take any more time than 1 dog? Well, guess the answer. By the way, we have 3 dogs now. Duh. I was obviously not thinking clearly. So this is the poem that became the title of the book, The Big Unda. He sits at the table. Unda, he says, Latin, baby, for wave, sea, river, spring, water. Nose in the air, he says, try using that in a sentence. I say, how about don't inundate me with your wisdom. You're more mundane than you know. So take your abundant, dirty underwear and undulate out of my life. Never challenge a woman. I guess you didn't get here this morning, but I actually invited my friend Sharon because I wrote this for her and for her granddaughter, Gracie. So my friend Sharon, she loves to decorate for every holiday. Her home is absolutely beautiful. It's immaculate. So I'm not Sharon. I basically decorate in early university dorm room. So Sharon shared her experience of the extended visit by her granddaughter, Gracie. So I've already thanked her for having this poem come out of my ears. She's still here for Sharon and Gracie. She's still here throwing dirty shoes into the washer. She's still here wearing the same sparkly dress she wore the last 3 days. She's still here making hand art on the windows, tossing dog food on the floor. She's still here, even though the house is quiet, the walls still hold her giggles. She's still here. I can hear her scamper. I can still find sequins long after she's gone home. This is something I don't do often. It's a list poem, but this one did get into the Big Unda. Hiding inside. Gray skies are a teaser. Clouds mask the sun. Masks pose a question. Perhaps you can answer. Inside the roots, plants hold light. Somewhere inside, I hold the time. Tick-tock, tick-tock, my heart beats. Tick-tock, my life ebbs. Life is a teaser. Something is bigger. It holds me together. A glue bottle hides in the bright. My third book is called How to Get Me Up in the Morning. I've been friends with Jill and Scott, the photographers I collaborated with for this book, longer than I've known my husband. So I've probably known them for at least 30 years. So Jill said to me one time, why don't I pick some photos to pair with some of your poems? And that's how this book happened. So this is a photo that Jill and Scott took for the poem Directions. We discuss directions. We argue with our navigation system. We call her Rhonda. He wants to take the shorter route, which takes longer, of course, not the course I would choose. The roads are slick, the tires skid from side to side. I want to take the longer route, which takes less time. The roads are cleared of ice and snow. Rhonda wants to take the interstate, which takes us 5 miles out of the way. Rhonda doesn't care about time or mileage. She just likes to drive fast. And here's the photo for flight school. Icarus had dreams of grandeur. He wanted to reach the heights. He fashioned wings of wax and feathers. The birds were irked. They pecked the plumage, chased him off the cliff. He hadn't attended their flight school, and so he was dropped. Next poem is called Gods, and this is the photo that went with it. In the beginning was chaos. People noticed chaos. People invented gods. Gods demanded people pray to them for order. People carved statues of gods to worship. The statues were more beautiful than the gods. People wanted to be beautiful like statues. People put on makeup. People wore jewelry. People went on diets. People had cosmetic surgery. People looked better than the gods. And now people worship themselves. Okay, my next book, which is actually my personal favorite, is Memory is That Raccoon. So again, I had no plans to publish another book of poems. I really thought I'd learned my lesson. I wasn't going to do this again. Then I received an email from Dr. Karanush in India, a complete stranger, saying he wanted to publish a 50-60 poem book. So what did I think? Scam. I don't know how you scam a poetry book, but I'm sure I would have thought of a way. I was suspicious up until the book was published because I used to live in Los Angeles. So I obviously didn't learn any lessons at all. Memory is That Raccoon. I chased out of the trash cans with a broom this morning. It was collecting treasures I don't know why I kept. Leftover pizza from our first date 20 years ago, lightning bugs in a jar, morning glories bursts of purple on the fence, snapdragons I made to talk with stubby toddler fingers, seashells from a Mexican beach, glass shards from our first fight. I thought if I tossed them out, I'd have nothing left to lose. Stay as long as you want, but pay by the hour at the Underbelly Motel. Vacancy is a bat blinking at your headlights. Your room is reserved. The spider in the corner grants absolution for a bottle of gin. Your lust lays on stained sheets with her legs wide open. Leave your pants on the floor and your conscience in the fridge. This is actually one of my favorite poems. Death serves me coffee and sits at the table. He points outside. Those trees will remain without you. Want more cream? All right, the fifth book was Cow Candy. Banji Hansen is a local artist that I collaborated with for this book, and her watercolors are amazing. She actually allowed me to use her paintings for the covers of My Father's Ghost Hates Cats and the Big Unda. I suggested that we collaborate on a book. She graciously gave me access to images of her work, and I wrote poems to the ones I chose. So Alien Buddha Press was supposed to publish the book, but he lost track of it. The train never got back on the track, so after months of waiting, I submitted it to my Indian publisher, and he accepted it in about a week. This is Banji's painting for Someone is Leaving. Hunger for new is the opposite of a lilac tree. Bags and suitcases are a kiss goodbye. A mother sobs, a rainbow of fear. Shadows enclose her glistening raincoat. The windows behind her are shut to revelation. The sweep of her hair is a trail of birdseed. Someone is leaving. Adieu. I love this painting, and it's for the poem Best Revenge. Who is that woman in the mirror? It must be my mother, not me. I am a much younger version of the woman I see. I wrap myself in robes of joy. more tightly in my boundaries. With a spade, I dig a hole and plant my feet. The best revenge is to blossom. So this picture was for cow candy. When the nurses were nodding, a cow unpeeled itself from the nursery wall. That one, she mooed. A good mama, she licked my head, a lollipop. And now my hair whirls and swirls every which way, a blender disaster. Invectives don't impress it. Hair clips and curlers, brief relief. 5 minutes later, my mane is insane. The final solution, cut it down to the nub. Coming west. We began our journey west when I was still a baby. Hurricane Diane, with wind and rain, pushed our car ahead of her. My parents in a hurry, they didn't want to shelter. Perhaps they thought they'd change their minds or the service call my father back. It might have been the only time my parents were not late. The next poem is Unnecessary. I know I'm in your way, a coat rack that you blame for bruises, a lampshade that you bump at night. I know that you don't find me useful. I know, and yet I wait. I wait and spill cream on your sweater. If you won't love me, I'll take hate. I wait for you to take my key and shove me out the door. Instead, you treat me like a portrait hanging on the wall. Something barely noticed, something you acquired. So my sixth book was called Why Chicken Explodes in the Microwave. And this was supposed to actually be my first published book, and it contains my earliest poems. However, between COVID and some personal issues the publisher had, Dancing Girl Press did not get this book out for a year. When I finally received my copies and reread the book, I thought, well, not so bad for a beginning poet. Not bad. This book is only available through Dancing Girl Press. Why Chicken Explodes in the Microwave. A suspicious loud bang announces decimated chicken pasted to every surface of the microwave. Another example of the peculiar law of expansion applied to varicose veins, hips, and grudges, anything that must take up all available space, littering the universe with debris, mangling my attempts at perfection and order. Beyond frustration, I explode my smile. Pulled chicken, anyone? This head. I unplug my head, recharging on the counter. I shake it, nothing rattles. Empty again. Not a memory of friends, family before today, only a sense of the pain I caused. Love-starved, thinking only of myself. How can I say I'm sorry to faceless faces? I should trade this head in for one that functions. Turning it upside down, I fill it with dog treats. Now it's useful. Worry. Worry walks in with 2 carry-ons and a bad attitude. It's going to be a long weekend. Worry chain smokes in the smoke-free area. He tosses his ciggy into my worst nightmare. It bursts into flames. Before I can pour Cabernet on the fire, Worry cannonballs into the wine, drenching the judges. They give him a 10 for staining the carpet. Worry moves into the basement to live amid the dark things that fester below, family migraines, bad hearts. He laughs and lights a match. I burst into flames. Words into elephants. Starting with a request by a fellow poet, I accidentally began interviewing authors and publishers and even bookstore owners. Most of my interviews were published by Cody, editor of A Thin Slice of Anxiety and also publisher of Anxiety Press. One of my collaborators, Ken, mentioned he submitted to Anxiety Press. Since I already had a good relationship with Cody, I thought, why not submit too? Cody accepted the manuscript within a week, and it will be published later this year. And I obviously have still not learned a thing. So I am including a couple of poems from this. Don't touch the horn. It's antique, like me, and it can break. If you really want to hear the music, pay full price and toot your own horn. Borderline. I straddled the borderline between what I sense and what makes no sense. I call this place nonsense, if that makes sense. Baubles and bubbles. She was spare change, wasted on shiny baubles, spare time drowned in bubble baths, passing fancy food, leaving nothing but empty pockets, a bathtub ring, and indigestion. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Nolcha. That was wonderful.
Well, thank you.
I love all your short form poetry. It's my favorite is short form. I'm reading the manuscript right now that is like 30 pages long for one poem. And so I would welcome some short form about as usual. A nice ray of sunshine in this day. Thank you so much. I'd like to invite people to ask questions or make comments.
Well, first, I have to say, I absolutely love the presentation. I almost feel like that needs to be a requirement going forward for anybody want to. That was so lovely to be able to read it along with you, reading it out loud. I really enjoyed it. You have a great reading voice. And you're probably a troublemaker. You sound like a bit of a troublemaker, so I think we could get along very well. I loved it. Loved it. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Nancy, because I'm visual as well as auditory, and it helps me a lot to be able to read the poems and see them. Yeah.
Well, I got to know you through Laura Stamps because you wrote the review on her book, and I thought, well, I got to find out more about this Nolcha Fox lady. I started seeing you popping up all over the place, and then I grabbed you, pulled you into my group.
And here I am. It's all your fault.
There you are. I just love.
I gotta ask, wait, are you still writing with poop on the wall?
No, I gave that up because it dries.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious.
But I really did that. Really, really, really.
I have a question. Do you write from all personal experience, or do you write from other people's experience too?
Sometimes I do write about things that I've heard from other people. And I do get poetry prompts from reading other people's poems. And that will actually spark a new poem for me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I really love Memory is That Raccoon, the book. I had to put it down. I was getting so moved. I read like 3 poems in this section, 3 poems in that section, 3 poems in that section. I said, okay, that's a good morning.
So thank you, Annette.
Nolcha, do you have a do you have a set routine on how you work during the day, or do you set up anything like that for yourself? Does that help you with your writing in terms of a rhythm and a habit?
I would love to say that I do, but I don't.
But be honest.
I mean, typically what I do is I get all sorts of poetry in my email from people's blogs, from poetry magazine, all over the place. And the first thing I'd like to do is read the poems. And if anything sparks a poem for me, then the second thing I'll do is write a poem.
Okay.
And I'd like to say I do most of my writing in the morning, but I actually find I write all day, depending on what's going on.
No, I appreciate that. I was wondering too, if you, I mean, I do this sometimes, but sometimes I'll be somewhere and I don't have pencil and paper and I'll just record it on my phone, like a
Yes,
phrase or something that sticks in my head.
Yeah.
And work on it later. And I didn't know if you did anything like that, or if you take pictures of something you see and then, because you said you were visual, and then to remind yourself to write something about it.
I actually have a notebook full of prompts of just phrases I've heard. As visual as I am, I actually prefer to write.
Okay. That's good. Oh, that's good. It's always interesting to hear how other people's process is.
Yeah, I've actually tried writing on my phone and was getting really angry because I couldn't find it. It just looked funny on the phone. But I actually, when I prefer to work electronically, because then I can also, I don't know if you've ever heard of Word Hippo, but it's this wonderful resource. And it has synonyms and antonyms. It has words that where you can write in, I want words that have the word judge in it, or I want, I want words that have ARE in it, and it just gives you everything. It's the best. And so I usually have that open while I'm writing, and has definitions. I highly recommend it, and it's free, which is the best thing.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Word Hippo. Yeah.
I like Word Hippo too. I use it constantly. So I also highly recommend it. And it gives idioms.
Yes.
It gives more formal words and less formal words.
Good to know about that. I'll have to check it out. It seems like I've heard about it, but I don't think I've ever used it. Always
It's really
use
addictive.
resources.
It's really addicting.
Can I ask you another question, Nolcha?
Sure.
When you, just out of curiosity, only because I've used KDP for my books, which is layout and design that I do myself. When you submit these poems for your work, does your publisher then do the layout and design? Do you approve that before it goes out? I mean,
Yes.
what is that like practical process?
There's actually not much to it, because really the only thing that I've never had a publisher actually change any of my formatting. They just basically plop it all in and onto whatever their page format is, and then they ask me to take a look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you find, because you have used different publishers, that there's pretty much a consistency with their different processes?
It has been really consistent, yes.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
The thing too I like about your poetry is so much of it is very witty, but at the same time very moving. And it's I don't know if it's because I'm old or what, but like I read the words and then it takes me a minute before it hits here.
Yeah.
I think, oh, how clever. And then it's like, damn, it's like more than clever. So it's really unique in that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. It's like can start out sometimes like a little bit humorous, and all of a sudden it takes a turn. And
Yeah.
that is the art of writing a good poem. So congratulations for pulling that off. Talented. After hearing Nolcha read her poetry, how many people here are inspired to publish their own poetry book?
Oh, well, I am.
Nancy and Annette. Tina, you've been doing that. Stop there.
But you've been
it is inspiring.
You've been self-publishing, right, Tina?
I have been, yeah. I actually went to there was this there was somebody who was an editor at a big time editor at, I forget, one of the big public, Macmillan or something, and she started a women's publishing thing, and I went to one of the free introductions, not about my poetry but about memoir, and it was so ridiculously expensive to publish it through somebody with the editing, and then you have to do your own promotion. I thought, I had a friend who's been publishing her work for a long time. She said, just use Amazon, you know, which isn't just, because it's actually a lot more complicated than I thought. But now I have it down. But and I thought, you know, my book isn't not going to be a big seller. I'm doing it for myself, really. So actually it's worked out fine. And that's all I can say.
Well, all the publishers that I publish with, they don't charge anything,
Oh, that's great.
but I still have to do my own marketing and publicity. and-
Yeah, yeah, but that's real,
Yeah.
that takes a lot off of one. Yeah, that's good. Good
Yeah,
for you.
unless it's like a big publishing house, authors are always going to have to do their own marketing.
Yeah.
You know,
is that
maybe
true?
if there's Simon and Schuster or something like that, you'll be off the hook, but you'll have to dance to their tune as well. So you lose your power,
Right.
go too big.
Well, what's so great about this format here with this, with the garden, is that I'm being introduced to writers and poets who are not mainstream publishing houses, and they're equally good and equally, I appreciate them as much. And I love that niche. It's so, it fits who I am. So I really appreciate that.
Mhm.
That's good to hear.
Mhm.
We are
No,
full
sir.
of writers.
Nolcha, what got you started in 2021?
Well, besides my friend, the backstory to that was that I had 7 years of daily migraines, and I was writing short stories, but it got to the point where I was in so much pain I had to stop writing. So when I learned how to control the migraines, my brain was just soggy. It was very difficult for me to imagine getting back into writing short stories. And that's when my friend said, well, try poetry, because it's short. There aren't as many words.
I'm glad that you tried poetry, and actually, I hope you continue to write poetry because your work is beautiful.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lisa.
I'm glad you found relief from your migraines. I know what that's like. That is, yeah, and I know what you mean by a soggy brain. So yeah, welcome back to firm brain land, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, we have a lot of women in the garden who are coming back from things in life, different challenges and that. We're always recognizing that we're always growing, no matter how old we get. I'm up there in years, so I still grow. I still learn new things. And once in a while, impart a wisdom. Karen, had her hand up.
Yes, Nolcha, do you have a favorite style of poetry that you prefer to write in? There's so many different types of poetry. I'm just wondering if there's one in particular that you really enjoy writing more than others.
I really prefer free verse
Mhm.
because I don't feel like I'm constrained by a lot of rules. And I can use any word I want.
Mhm.
That's a warrior after my own heart. Good question.
And there was a question there. Oh, okay. This was from Robin. How long ago did you leave your husband? So I've had 2 husbands. There's the one I'm currently with, and we've been married 25 years. And I'm probably going to get in trouble for this one. My first husband was an artist. He was an art teacher in the Los Angeles City School District. And I don't know, it was one of those, relationships where we could both say the word orange and mean something totally different.
Mhm.
So there was definitely a communication problem there, but we remained friends after the divorce. And actually, I have been working on a book with him that I'm almost done with, and I'm going to submit for publication.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is amazing, considering one of my ex-husbands is my stalker.
Oh,
No.
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah. That's why I get so afraid being on social media. I just never know when it's going to pop up.
Oh,
And
that's horrible.
but to be able to I should write a book about him. Maybe that's what he wants, is some attention.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You have to kill him in the end.
But yeah, and kill him in the end. No, wait. I love these conversations, the ideas they spark. That's
Yeah.
what I want to say.
There's definitely a novella there, Nancy. Nolcha, how do you go about when you write? Do you have someone edit your work, or I don't know if you have like a more intimate group where you review each other's stuff and make suggestions, or is it entirely your call with how it goes from start to finish?
Well, I have a small group of 3 people there, and I just send them the poems I write every day. And sometimes I get comments, and sometimes I don't.
Okay.
It's not really okay. It's not a critique group. It's like my mother. It's one of my poet friends, and it's my husband. And my husband isn't a poet, so sometimes his what he says is the best, because I'm not going to say what. I guess I still am. I've temporarily dropped out of a group called the Thursday Night Poets, and it is a reading and critique group. But I decided to take a break because I just took on being editor of Tours and Mastigadores, and I realized that I just don't have the bandwidth at this point.
Yeah.
And then Barbara, you have a group, 2 groups, I guess, right? And I've dropped in on that one occasionally. And that's one is a reading group and the other one is a critique group.
Can you tell us about the publication that you've just taken over editorship of?
Well, I think I'm going to need help with Barbara on this. I officially started June 1st, although I unofficially started probably about 2.5 weeks ago. So Tours and Mastigadores is like this family of literary magazines, and they're throughout the world in all these countries. And I think that Barbara and I are probably the token English editors.
And I guess there are 5 English editors, but I think the other English editors are also speakers of other languages as well. So, and I haven't connected with them. We get together on WhatsApp so that head editor communicates with all of us on WhatsApp, but I haven't really met many of them.
But it's been it's really nice. The one who started this whole, I don't know, what would you call it, a spider with all these arms?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. He's very supportive. He's basically saying, do what you need to do to make it work. And yeah, so we have a lot of I don't know, really a lot of freedom. So what I've been doing is, so I post daily. And what I've asked in my submission guidelines is people send me 2 pieces once a month.
Nice. And where would one send those submissions to?
Tours, you know what, let me get that. I will post that in chat. Give me
I just did. I just put Tours and Masticatories.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're always looking for places to submit to, and some of my clients are always looking for ways to get their stuff published, so I will be sure and tell them about it.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. And send it to Barbara's too. It's Mastigadores USA.
I'll put that in the chat too.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I definitely have to save this chat and post it into the garden.
But yes, all of you, please submit. I would love it. And you know, just every poetry, it's really, I've actually have scheduled two acrylic paintings for publication.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, really beautiful pieces. So yeah, I'm really trying to expand the scope. I like
Oh,
fiction, poetry, prose. I'll take interviews, book reviews, memoirs. Yeah.
oh, and artwork. Wow, that's a game changer. I have a few things I send your way.
Okay, that'd be great.
Oh, wow, fun.
And some of the poets I publish on Masticatori's USA, they have art, and so that's their feature image. Because we let them choose an image that they want to illustrate the poem.
Nice. Wow, this is really neat.
Yeah, and I'd like to do more with this group. Once I heal up with this knee replacement, which was May 24th. So I'm still, you know, in the early stages of restoration, but I would like to get more involved as well. So
You'll be healed up probably by the end of the month.
Yeah.
A knee surgery survivors.
Yay.
It's at the rate
Yeah.
you're going, you're going to be. It sounds like a quick heal.
Yeah.
Honey, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I want to thank you all for coming out today. Thank you, Nolcha, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you all for participating. Of course, always bring new members into the garden. The more the merrier. This is a nice turnout. And Nancy's holding the book up. She's got something to say.
So in August, we're going to start submissions for our volume 3 of our Safe and Brave Space anthology. And we usually just go with Safe and Brave Space as being the theme, but this time we're going to work a little magic in there. We love serendipitous type of events, so we're going to work a little magic in there. And Lisa and I are going to run some workshops and some critique groups and some open mics and some readings.
Okay.
I love those events. Barbara, your event, you know, to do a Thursday reading like that, Thursday, I just love it. You know, I think they're so cool. I think if something good came out of us all being locked down and having to be on these screens, that's
Yeah.
worth it. You know,
Right.
we don't have these conversations. You know, Robin, you're in, you know, Canada. Karen, you're in Canada. You guys are all on the East Coast. I'm on the West Coast. Look at the conversation we were having, and the ideas we spark, you know, and the support. So that's what, this is kind of how this book started. It's how the talk started. We are also doing splashes of poetry, which will be a new anthology we'll start putting together, which will be based on the poetry we all create in National Poetry Month in April. And then we want to start putting that together and those collections. So yeah, love meeting with all of you. This is always so much fun. Highlight of my day. And being on the West Coast, it's the beginning of my day.
Well, thank you all so much, and you'll have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks to all of
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nolcha.
Thank you.
Good job.